Recently, I found a broken AirPod just laying on the sidewalk, so I decided to turn it into a cute little robot. Welcome to Cut. Bluetooth earbuds are maker's best friend, keeping our ears safe and providing entertainment. But this one is not only busted, it's also missing a butt. Now taking it apart can be tough, I was told, but I've got the perfect technique for this. There was a ton of stuff inside it, but I'm gonna use just 2 pieces, just the shell of the recharging case. But for it to be a mech, even a cute little one, it needs to be bigger. I kinda need to extend the case just a little bit. So I grabbed my caliper and then I precisely measured the parts. Apple devices are usually very symmetric and minimal, so it was pretty easy to grab what I needed to craft the 3-piece. I just needed the outer perimeter and the thickness of the walls. And when I was about to glue the parts together, I remembered that I needed to take care of this hole, which was the charging part of the case. And in my collection of tiny little details, I found this tiny little button that matched the shape and the size of the hole. It was glued in place from the inside with CA glue, and the seam was reinforced with baking soda and hot glue. An overkill, cause that's how I roll. Next, I covered some gaps left by the case's hinge piece with styrene and threw in some lines to be able to glue the next part centered. Which part, you ask? The waist piece, which is a greebly repurposed from an older project. And with that, the body of this robot was pretty much finished, but still, it needed a couple of attachments, let's say. But first, let's find the center line of the shape. An extra part goes on each side, providing nice attachment points and following the design of the case with beautiful rounded corners. Now to build the pew-pew parts, I start with a round plastic shape from my greebly collection, just a starting point. I could have printed the whole thing, but I like to hold the pieces and see how they look together. There's no shame though in covering them later with 3D or laser cut shapes, which is exactly what I did. And with that, the top half of this model was finished. Here in my shop, right under the set of tools, I have some drawers where I keep different types of laser cut shapes. Just like this one. And the idea is to use some of these to speed up the build process of the waist and legs. I began by stacking a couple of 5mm thick discs and routed their corners using a router Dremel bit. The Dremel left some imperfections, which I removed by chucking the piece on my drill press. Next, I made some flat spots on the disc, one for each leg. I glued axle pieces on the flat spots and could begin building the legs. I decided on an angle that I thought put the model at a good height from the ground and just eyeballed the rest of the legs using that first one as a guide. Then I added rounded corner panels to make sure that the legs looked just like the body. And instead of going with just a couple of feet, to make sure that this looks cute, I'm going to give it wheels. The ankle and last segment is a two-part piece that closes on top of the wheels and maintains the roundedness of the whole design. And the only thing left to do was to paint it and to give it a lost in the desert sort of look. Okay, so I kinda lost the footage of the beginning of the paint process, but luckily not much was done. Just some base colors using spray paint. In order to make the Lost in the Desert look I'm going for, white is the perfect color, and the gunmetal below it will be for the chipping process, which I started right away and before I did anything else, since white would be the main color of this model. And in this model, I'm going back to a technique where I use a compass to create round panel lines. The cut, quote unquote, I need to make in order to show the gunmetal layer below is quite shallow, so the sharp tip of it is more than enough. I'm also doing the trick of using masking tape that I follow with my blade, so I know the line I'm cutting is perfectly straight. Some extra random streaks here and there so it looks lived in, and then I went for some darker burnt spots using an airbrush. As you can see, nothing too crazy was done, just a subtle effect where, of course, it made sense using some thinned down black paint. But then it was time for a fun process, the wash, even though in this one I had to be extra careful, and here's why. So I was kinda running late with this project, so I just ignored the super important step of putting a coat of glossy varnish to protect the thing against the oil wash thinner. And to be precise, I even avoided using oils this time. I went for an acrylic wash instead. But still, the matte paint will catch that dirt and grab it. So making it dirty wasn't the fun, loose process it usually is, and I had to be extra careful. After the wash, I went for the decals, a step I'm trying to include more and more in my projects, as it seems to really make the model stand out and give some backstory to it. This model was so tiny, I didn't really have a lot of surface to decorate, but a simple decal here and there was enough to make this thing much more sci-fi looking. Then came the first coat of matte varnish, and this time I decided to try soft pastels, so I can finally give it the Lost in the Desert look I mentioned before. Again, just like with the decals, I don't have a lot of skills when it comes to soft pastels weathering, but I thought this project was the right white one to try new things. I made a small batch of red, orange, brown kind of color and using a brush applied it all over the model. Now as you can see, I'm not going at random and all around the thing. I'm focusing on the bottom side of the pieces and of course going heavier on the legs, since they would definitely catch more dust than the body. This, of course, is a white model, and in order for it to stand out, it needs to sit on a dark base, and this is what I did. I grabbed a round base that was on primer and applied matte black paint I had with a brush. Now the paint was years old and super thick, so to hide the brush strokes I tried this dabbing technique, giving it a texture that looks intentional rather than the ordinary brush strokes. I really think it looks much better this way. Then I put the model together, glued it to the base right in the center. And here's a quick printed human figure to give it some context. Now let's go for the beauty shots. Guys, of course, as always, the best way to support the channel is to watch the video to the very end, which you just did. And please hit the like button so you can help to spread the word. Check the links below if you want to go one step further and help keeping the lights on around here. And no joke, I almost forgot, transform glue. Thanks for watching.